can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend in some hockey town. With a popped up parents, frozen toes, big hearts, bad luck. With a popped up parents, one more tourney, one more puck. We're broke, we're loud, we love this grind. Cause our kid just scored and we lost our mind.
Greetings and welcome to Pucked Up Parents, episode dozen, episode 12. I am Michael. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, my partner in rink, and my partner in life, Angela. Angela, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. Doing great today. Welcome to the Pucked Up Parents podcast. We are novice first generation hockey parents in a non traditional hockey town, talking everything that we have learned and experienced in our last 12 years as hockey parents.
We are very non-traditional. We have no background in hockey, aside from the 12 years we've been in the sport with our oldest son. Our, of course, younger son, who is 11 now, plays. Bear with me this week if you're now listening, because I am sick. And here in the Ohio Valley, we went from 30 degrees with a foot of snow on the ground one day to 60 degrees. On top of that, snot-nosed kids at the rink and our Super Bowl party. So I'm sure I caught something in between all of that, and I am down for the count after we are done recording. So, Angela, what happened last weekend? Any hockey observations? What did we do? I'm trying to remember.
Well, so I believe you were in Nashville with the 12U, and they had a couple of high scoring games there. They were close games, but high scoring. And the high schooler had a game which was also high scoring, but very lopsided.
The 12U and I went to Clarksville, Tennessee, a newer rink, one of the affiliates of the Predators, the Ford Ice Arenas. Gorgeous arena. Congratulations to Clarksville, Tennessee. You have an amazing place. Observations from the game. Yeah, it was a high scoring game, back and forth. They lost one, won the second one. And I'm gonna go probably make some people angry with this, but if you bring a cowbell to a game and you're listening to this right now, go ahead and pull your hand out, make a fist, and go ahead and punch yourself in the face a few times. There was a cowbell at the game. It wasn't too obnoxious. He did ring it every once in a while, but man, those cowbells drive me crazy. As a son of a farmer, I find it offensive. We never had cowbells on the farm. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, so put the cowbells away. Just cheer with your voice for Pete's sake.
Wow, that's an interesting take. I know cowbells are really popular with some people, but yeah, I'm not a fan either, but it could be worse. I've seen some other horns and the loud cups and whatnot, so it could be worse. Just remember that.
Could be. And you and I were in contact for the seniors game. They played a team. I'm not going to name the team, but apparently their son's team was up 13-0 coming out of the second period, and they were told not to shoot at the net. Is that true?
So it started with the coach's instruction to pass at least 3 times before you take a shot, which then turned into something along the lines of don't take the puck behind the net, keep passing, don't shoot. Then it got to the point where the other team, I guess, had a penalty, and we were like, can we just deny this penalty? We really don't want to play 5-on-4. Can we decline a penalty like they do in football?
Is it true that I heard this, I don't know if it's through you or through another parent, but, they told him not to shoot the net. Our son did shoot through the net and got benched for it? Yeah, okay, you're nodding your head, yes.
Well, I think he just forgot how to count or didn't realize that the count started over after there was a shot. So there was 3 passes and there was a shot, and instead of doing another 3 passes, he shot again.
No, so he can't count it. So this is like, it turned into a game of keep away or reverse, don't score a goal, which is really, really odd to me.
And it's no fun for anybody. I just wanna throw that out there. These really lopsided games are just no fun for anybody.
I have one more topic I wanna hit for, last weekend. I heard something that's gone viral. It was on, the Sunday morning show or one of the news shows, and you watched the TV show. Have you heard about the Boy Aquarium?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
This
apparently
is
going viral now, the
yes.
aquarium. And our own University of Cincinnati team got on the world news because the UC men's hockey team went to the Newport Aquarium to actually look at fish. So that was kind of they were joking about the boy aquarium,
Yes.
the actual aquarium.
Absolutely. I have some heated rivalry gossip that I need to tell you after my haircut today. So
So if
we'll talk more about that.
you're not following, the boy aquarium insinuates that girls are watching the games through the glass and the boys are in there playing hockey and they're watching through the boy aquarium for the hot dudes is apparently, and I guess it's from that TV show you watched.
Yeah, yes. I've heard that term. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a good analogy.
Okay, well, let's get on to the show. Let's do a quick short recap of the last episode. What did we talk about last time?
We talked about team relationships and bonding when you start the season to the end of the season. But right now, it's time to start planning those end of season parties. So get in touch with those managers and make sure you're thanking your coaches who put a lot of time and effort into the season.
Team relationships. Hopefully, you built a good relationship. Now you're planning the end of the season party. You're thinking about a coach's gift. You're thinking about the manager's gift, and that brings us into today's topic because after the season over, Angela, what's next? What's our show topic for today?
So we're going to talk off-season training, camps, and summer teams. I know it's only February, but guess what? It's time to start signing up for those things.
So can we also talk about I wanna talk about spring hockey because that's also a very hot topic that's out there, spring hockey and whether to do it or whether to not do it, along with summer hockey. So let's get into it. What the puck am I doing? Let's talk about spring and summer training. Angela, what do you got?
Many organizations offer some sort of a spring or postseason weekly training camps, essentially getting the idea, or at least how they're selling it, is to get ready for tryouts. They're usually offered in those weeks between the end of the season, which is quickly approaching, and when tryouts start, which is typically in April or May for the following season. That's what those spring trainings are focused on.
I put this out on our social media to get the feedback from our listeners and other hockey forums, and it was really a mixed bag as to doing it or not doing it. Now, let's talk about spring, for example. So, spring hockey, spring training. Is it your opinion that I don't want to say the talent, but the kids are diluted because other sports will now take, a lot of kids play multiple sports. Baseball really comes into play in the spring. So, it's not a lot of kids out there playing or doing the spring hockey training anymore. You got an opinion on that?
I think it differs. I think I don't wanna say the talent is different, but the numbers are different. So there's usually a lot less kids because of sports like baseball and lacrosse and track and other, swimming, soccer, all of those other sports, kids are going to be engaged in those other sports. So you will see less registrations for things like spring trainings. I think the spring trainings are beneficial because it keeps your kid on the ice. It's usually pretty low commitment, once a week for an hour or so kind of thing, just to kind of keep those skates going and those legs going before tryouts. But it often conflicts with all of those other sports like we just mentioned.
I think that the feedback that I got on spring and summer, both hockey and training was, is it advantageous to the kid? Yeah, it is. It's more for the most part, it's mostly informal. It's not as organized. Again, this is our experience here in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. So the rinks aren't the best in the summertime, and even the spring, they start to kinda go down. The talent is diluted. In other words, we have a double A kid. If he went to play spring hockey at our local rink here in Northern Kentucky, he'd be playing with house kids. So the disorganization is there from a team standpoint, but on the other hand, it's just him kinda doing pickup games and getting a little bit of ice time before the summer ends.
I think that comes with the lower numbers registered, is that you then have a greater spectrum of skill level on the ice at one time. So whereas during the normal season you have 100 kids split between various teams, in the spring maybe you have 200 kids and you're just going out there to play pickup games or do some drills, and that skill level really varies of that smaller group of kids.
I'm curious, in our northern friends that listen to the show, the Washingtons, the Canadas, we have friends who play baseball, and one of our friends is actually starting a league for his kid. He's in LA, and they're playing in February, which is odd to me. So I gotta imagine that hockey in the North, where it's colder weather, or if your rink is actually awesome, that is it year round? Is that what's going on? Or do the leagues and the My Hockey and all that stuff, does that kinda like wind down and pause or hibernate for the summer, so to speak?
I think it's probably still very similar to what we have because of the way the USA hockey season is set up. We're going to get into this probably next week with an episode on tryouts, but tryouts cannot happen for the next season until USA Nationals have finished. So that's why the tryouts are in April. They can't really play USA hockey games, but we're going to get into this in a minute with some summer tournaments and summer teams. And it's usually a little bit different division. So I think it's pretty similar structurally, but there's probably more players to choose from in those other markets, whereas we have a very small market here to begin with. And when you shrink that down with players doing other sports, it just becomes even smaller.
Well, we talked about this. The ice conditions, at least locally here where we live, aren't the best in the world. Once the spring starts to spring, I guess, you're essentially playing pond hockey at that point. And when I say pond hockey, there's a nice thin layer of water floating on top, and it's wet and it's gross. So we've kind of steered away from the rink that doesn't maintain the ice too well. And actually, they shut down in the summertime based on how hot it is. Our other local rink, I think they're open year round, but it's more of doing camps and doing a few trainings here and there with the culmination of kids, not the teams, but more of a like a quote unquote hockey academy that offers practices to the kids.
I think that's where a lot of those spring trainings and summer trainings come in is their multi-week sessions where you go once, maybe twice a week. You have a variety of different coaches. Maybe they're not sponsored by your normal association. There's some other outside association coming in. Maybe it's your local college team that's offering some spring training or summer trainings. Maybe it's a, former professional player that comes in and offers a camp. There's just a lot more variety as to what's going on, and it's usually a lot lower commitment. Unfortunately, it's usually not lower money-wise. You're still paying for ice time, so you get some expenses going on there. One of the reasons to take a break is not only to play those other sports and do other things, but it's to give your wallet a break too.
Let's talk about other sports. Our kids, they tried baseball. It took for a few years, and eventually they got out of it. But everybody that I saw online were a huge proponent of the multi-sport kid. Now,
Yeah.
we've always let our kids drive that. What do you want to play? Again, the baseball, they opted to not play baseball. They never wanted to play basketball. Our oldest son is looking to take up lacrosse, which we've not done. He's a senior and wants to play high school lacrosse. What's your opinion on multi-sport kids after hockey?
I think multi-sport athletes are amazing. I think that's great. I think it's great for the kids, especially the younger kids, to play other sports, to give other teams or games a try so that they can figure out what they really like. Number 1, and number 2, it is very beneficial from a motor development standpoint as well as cross training. That's probably a better way to put it is it's great cross training whether you're running track or cross country or playing soccer or even golf, tennis, those kinds of things. It just gives the kids the ability to develop other skills and other muscles so that they can become better overall athletes.
I know you very early on we did this, and another parent had posted on one of our feedbacks that his kid was in ninja class. So ninja class, essentially gymnastics, bouncing around, which we were a huge proponent of the gymnastics because you get the flexibility, the balance that's everything that's associated with hockey is honed during gymnastics. You were a gymnast yourself and you pushed our kids into gymnastics. They loved it. And we think it helped them. It helped them in development.
Yeah,
Understood?
absolutely. I think the gymnastics, the ninja classes, those kinds of things, it teaches you so much spatial awareness, your body in space and hand-eye coordination, muscle development. You're getting stronger because you're swinging on the rings or you're swinging on the bar or you're jumping and climbing and doing all of those things. It really improves strength, flexibility, hand-eye coordination, motor control, all of those things. And that's just gymnastics, you get that from a lot of those other sports as well. It's just implemented a little bit differently in those sports than it is in hockey.
An outsider looking at gymnastics, of course, I have no gym background. I can't even touch my toes right now. But the gymnast, as far as I see, also develops for the kid a lack of fear. In other words, gymnasts throw themselves, do flips. They flip into the padded pits. They're hanging from bars. So to me, that instills a little bit of fearlessness that is needed for hockey because hockey is inherently a dangerous sport. You're on ice and you're going to get hit, certainly inadvertently, whatever. But it does give the kids a little bit of confidence and a little bit of less fear when challenged with a physical sport.
I think that's very true. I think also gymnastics, especially in balance, even though you might not be on the balance beam, but doing all of those different agility moves and running and climbing and hanging, it really improves your balance. And guess what? Hockey, you got to balance on those blades. That's a big part of it. And then the falling down and getting up again. If you're doing a ninja class or gymnastics or something along those lines, you're going to fall down and you got to get back up. And it's the same thing in hockey. You're going to fall down at some point and you got to get back up and developing that ability to not be afraid to fall and also the ability to get up quickly and get back to whatever physical movement you were doing before you fell.
And as our kids got older, they got out of the gymnastics, but our kids both took up roller hockey in the driveway, as evidenced by my broken windows, dented garage, broken outdoor lights, which I'm fine with that. A darn near 65 Mustang taking a puck to the back. But they took on roller hockey, and our youngest actually plays in a little pickup roller hockey league, which he has a blast with. He doesn't play serious. He has a good time with it. On top of that, it helps develop. I know roller hockey is inherently different, but it does allow for that motor skill to bounce that little ball around. Skating builds the legs up. So it is a good sport in the off season, and the kids love it, especially if you have a roller hockey rink in your neighborhood, which we are lucky enough to have near our house.
And I think the other cool thing about the roller hockey rink near our house is it's outdoors. We spend so much time inside playing hockey. Spring, summer, get outside, get some fresh air. All of those things are great to get that different experience of playing that game or sport outside.
And I see your list here of other sports, football, golf, soccer. You didn't put one of our kids' favorite sports, laying on a creek bank in the shade with a fishing pole. Our kids love to fish.
That's right.
Patience and how to gut a fish. They love to fish. And also our son plays flag football. The teams are terrible. He's a stud for some reason at flag football, but the teams are terrible. But man, he has a blast with that. Doesn't take it serious. It's his side gig. And when you go to these flag football games, you see the parents that are super into it. And these kids are super into it, where we're just kind of like, we're filling the gaps between hockey seasons right now.
It's just another one of those things that, having fun with physical activity, that's a lifelong learning experience. You want people, us as adults, we need that physical activity and outdoor kind of stuff too. So this just teaches the kids that there are other things to do other than hockey. And I want to kind of jump away from the other sports, but there's other reasons to take some time off during the spring and summer.
I want you to rank these multi-sport athletes real quick out of curiosity. 3 of them, right? Rank them for me. Bo Jackson, Jim Thorpe, Deion Sanders. Who's your top pick?
Wow, that's a tough call, but I'm a Bo Jackson fan, so I think I'm gonna lean to Bo Jackson, although Jim Thorpe would probably be a close second.
Okay, yeah, for the record, Angela went to Auburn, and Bo is a god at Auburn and a talented multi-sport athlete, and unfortunately, this is also an '80s reference, we do a lot of these on the show, but Bo Jackson was the athlete above athletes, and if you have a chance to watch some of his clips or his documentaries, he was taken out too soon with that hip injury.
Yeah, but and again, I don't wanna discount Jim Thorpe either because he was an amazing athlete in his time. I think I gravitate towards Bo because of our connection, and I got to see him play. I think that's probably why I lean that direction, but Jim Thorpe, if you don't know who he is, if you've never heard of him, he is a, Native American individual who played various sports, football, baseball, basketball, went to
But
the
yeah,
Olympics, was an Olympic track athlete, another incredible athlete.
let's move on to our next topic. Are we there yet? And here we're gonna talk about summer camps, and we alluded to it a couple of episodes ago. I had to log in the morning of, like I'm buying concert tickets to get our kid into summer camp. Angela, what do you think about summer camps? They're local. They could be sleepaway. They could be 8 hours a day. They could be overnight. Give us your thoughts.
Well, let me talk about local camps first. And I think, for us, the local camps have been kind of day camps where you go drop your kiddo off at, 9 o'clock in the morning, you pick them up at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, almost like a school day, where they have a couple of sessions on the ice, but they're also doing other activities off the ice, whether it's playing games or watching a movie or whatever, but they're at the rink all day. And typically with a group of older college students that are running these camps. Sometimes it's the professional team in the area that's running the camp. I think it's a great way to spend a week of just ice time and having that extra get back to the rink once during the summer if you're not doing some of these other spring and summer trainings.
It was 50-50 for us. It was partially get them some ice time and partially get them out of the house. Get out of the
Y-
house. Go do
Yeah, especially early on, it was instead of like, daycare or your traditional summer day camps or other museum camps and whatnot, we have utilized those sorts of local day camp, hockey day camps as childcare.
Let's wear those little kids out. Wear them out for the day so when you get home from work, you can relax and not have to have them bouncing off the walls. So now it's
Right.
the famous sleepaway camps, and we're familiar with this, but we're just primarily familiar with one, and that's the Miami of Ohio Red Hawks, the college, the sleepaway camp that they have every year.
So that is a very dorm style, college style. The kids get to stay in the dorm for the week. You go drop them off with their twin sheets and pillows and all of the things that you would drop off your college student with almost, snacks for the week, and they get
Shower
to
shoes, bucket,
shower shoes and hope that they take a shower at
uh,
some point during the week and use soap.
and switch out.
But they yeah, and socks too.
We've unpacked our kids after the week of sleepaway camp, and we packed 6 pairs of underwear, and they're all still neatly folded in the bag. We're like, "Okay, did you wear the same underwear all week?" "No." "Yeah, you did."
Yeah. Yeah, you did, and that's disgusting, man. That's more the dorm life camp where, again, they have a couple of ice times a day, but they're also swimming in the university pool, or they're playing basketball, or they're playing other games outside. They're eating in the cafeteria. It's one of those situations, at least for our kids, that they really enjoyed the independence of that week, spending it in the dorms, pretending that they're college students, even though they're 12.
A lot about this campus, it gives them a little throwback too because there's no electronics allowed. So no iPads, no cell phones, none of that. The kids call once during the week, call the parents, and apparently it is on a flip phone. Hello, 1995, and or a payphone. They have a payphone there? Am I mistaken on that?
No, 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 no. They were using, what I affectionately call a burner phone, the first few years, although last year they did allow the kids to have their phones, but they had to check them in with kind of the front desk, and they only got to have them for, like, I don't know, 30 minutes a day or something. But the idea is that the kids are not on their electronics all day. They're playing foosball in the dorm, or ping pong, or they're out playing volleyball on the quad kind of thing. I think that's a lot of fun, but we've also seen a lot of advertisements for kind of the more traditional summer camp that also involves hockey. We've seen these advertisements in like the USA Hockey magazine, and you see some websites, and I'm sure some of them might pop up on social media, but they look to me more like your classic summer camp where you're living in a cabin, or maybe less of a dorm style, but more of a cabin style, and
You're
it's
talking
more
about
of that.
the one that's in USA Hockey every year. It's got, like there's a lake, and they play on the lake.
Yeah,
Blob. It looks like a Disney like the Disney, heavyweights camp with the blob, and there's trails and go-karts, and they have ice time. I know what you're talking about. We never
right.
it's something we always like, "Maybe we should do this."
And I think there's obviously more than one of them, but you definitely see the advertisements in that magazine and online, and I think those look like fun opportunities. We never have taken the opportunity to do that. However, I do think they're pretty expensive, which is one of the reasons we've opted out of that.
I've seen the camp one was like, if you want like a 4 by 4 room with a crappy bunk bed, it was this price, but if you want like a suite with a with a kitchen and a few bedrooms, it was like a few $1,000s. So you could buy a tier level as to where you're gonna stay, which I don't camp, so I would have to buy the, VIP one, which we probably could not afford. So just to summarize the camps, it's February 11th right now. If you're gonna do summer camps, either you're too late or you should do it right now because those things, especially the sleepaway camps and the big ones, are selling out fast. So log on. USA Hockey has a bunch of links for them, or just Google them, but they are available out there, and trust me when we say they are not cheap, but they are worth it.
The kids absolutely have a lot of fun, and some of the local day camps that I talked about, we're just now starting to see those signups, and you'll see more of those, coming out over the next couple of weeks.
And we talked about this last week with relationships. That's when we were at games in Pittsburgh or in Tennessee, and we see our son skate out the middle at the end of the game, slapping the other players on the back, giving them hugs and talking. And we're like, who is that kid? He was in my dorm at Miami camp. We're friends. We talk a lot. So it does expand those relationships beyond your own team to other teams across the Northeast or the Northwest or wherever you live.
The next kind of summertime thing I want to talk about are summer tournament teams. This can be another controversial topic because these summer teams sometimes come out of nowhere. They just pop up, and suddenly you see a tryout for a summer team, or you just get invited to play on a summer team. We've had that happen before too. And I think these are really hit or miss, or at least that's what we've found, because some of these teams are thrown together pretty hastily. Sometimes there's some pretty varying skill levels on the team. So what you get out of it is going to be really dependent on how that team ends up being put together.
We've had all sorts of summer tournaments out of our local Northern Kentucky rink thrown together, out of our Cincinnati rink, both. We use more for the just the travel aspect of it all. They go and they get their butts kicked essentially, but we have a good time. There's also TPH, Total Performance Hockey. We did that in years past. Same thing there. Kids were coming out of Canada or out of Michigan and basically handing us our ass, but they were valuable in that we met other people, we met other kids. Unpopular opinion by me early on, and Angela, I don't know if you share the same sentiment. It was always kind of pressure to me, especially if the coach of your kid's normal team was coaching the summer team, in that you were like, if I don't join his summer team, it's not going to lead to playing time in the fall, or I won't make the team. Of course, tryouts are way before I get that. But to me, it was like pressure of if I don't show up, it's going to damage my relationship with the rest of the team in the fall. Your opinion, or am I just like a worrywart?
I think you're just a worrywart. I don't feel that pressure, I guess, because the way the tryouts work for your regular season team and these summer teams are so varying. And I think one of the benefits of the summer team is that oftentimes you get a coach that's not your normal coach. So you're on the ice with a different perspective. Maybe you're got a different coaching style. You've got some kids that you don't normally play with, so you've got some different lines. You're learning different player styles. You're learning different plays, different setups for different, whether it's a power play or whatever. So I think that's where I see the positive of the summer tournament teams is that you're developing with kids that are outside of your norm. You get to meet and play with those other kids. And it's not always a butt kicking kind of thing. We've had our fair share of those, but we've also had some summer teams that were really great. We've put together some really great teams who went out and did really well at tournaments. But I will say that that's another downfall of summer tournaments is that they don't necessarily have a lot of signups. And so that's one of those situations where you can get shifted around from one skill level division to another, and that might be the reason you're getting your butt kicked or the reason you're winning out because they didn't have enough teams sign up. And I will say from our experience, most of the time those tournaments have like 4 teams in them. So you're only playing 4 teams. So it ends up being more of a showcase than an actual tournament.
A quick story, our son played on a summer team, our oldest son, and they were playing a team out of Michigan. These kids were like AAA prospects, dominating, beating the crap out of us. And one of the kids skated over to Sam and said, "You guys suck." And Sam turned around and said, "You're the only one that hasn't scored yet." And I think he drew a penalty because the kid shoved him after Sam said that. So if you go down fighting. Now, another thing about these summer tournaments, and I see your notes here is excellent, is visiting these hockey towns with a different weather set. Like, I was in St. Louis, for a summer tournament. When the prior time I was in St. Louis, it was 10 degrees. So it got the majesty of the Golden Arch, that's McDonald's. The Arch, the St. Louis Arch, and not having to worry about my hands sticking to it because it's too cold, and going to, like, minor league baseball games, major league baseball games. And we went to a tournament in Buffalo, New York, Falls, drove up to Toronto, drove on the tippy top of all the Great Lakes and popped out in Detroit. So you can turn these into little mini summer vacations, with the added bonus of playing a little bit of hockey around the country.
I think one of my favorite summer tournaments is when we were in Chicago and the kids actually got to swim in Lake Michigan. Whereas normally when we're in Chicago, it's, -10 with a, 30 mile an hour wind and snow.
Yeah, it was it gross? Is that gross? Like Mission gross?
Like they have actual beaches along Lake Michigan.
Okay, so for some reason it just
You're thinking the river. We live near a river that's kind of gross.
we have the Ohio River outside our house that's in Cincinnati, which is basically like all of Pittsburgh's garbage, and then we dump our crap, and it goes to Louisville, and they get all of our garbage. So yes, our river's pretty disgusting.
Right. So no, don't think the river. Lake Michigan is very different. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to kind of play on the little, I'll call it a beach. It's not really a beach, but the beach of the lake. But that's always fun. And again, Niagara Falls was fun. If you're there in the wintertime, it's going to be cold and frozen and you're going to be pretty miserable outside. We've done some pretty good adventures alongside of some of these summer hockey tournaments. But again, definitely not required, but they can be fun.
All right, so life moves pretty fast. Angela, reflections on what we've just covered.
So I think some of these summer hockey adventures that we've been on, particularly the summer camps that our kids have done, are going to be core childhood memories for them. Even with our oldest getting ready to go off to college, has talked about how independent he was at camp and how he was able to do all the things and manage himself independently for that time.
Miami, again, a university was on his short list of colleges. He's not chose one yet, but in determining which college he goes to, he's like, "Miami, I've stayed in those dorms. I lived that college life there. I probably won't go there because I've already experienced what college life is there, which he doesn't know the half of college life, but whatever. We'll let him think that. But yes, core memories for them, core memories for the parents, because we're like, what are we gonna do? Let's go out to eat. Let's go sit on a deck and have a cold beer. So and then wait for the phone call on Wednesday night that ultimately comes.
Yeah, so I think that, the core memories of those independent living at camp, and then some of these summer tournaments where we talked last week about building bonds and memories with teammates. I think some of the kids that we have played regular season with and summer season with for years upon years, those are some of our kids' best friends.
So let's talk about our tip of the week, and I really, really like your tip of the week this week because I'm again not a sports dad, not a sports background. I'm a huge proponent of this. What's your tip of the week?
Avoid burnout. We talked about all of the stuff that you can do over the spring and summer. You don't have to do any of it. It's okay to take time off from the rink. Playing other sports and doing other things is beneficial and healthy. Whether it's, taking time off and going to spend a couple weeks with the grandparents, or, you're doing something else, you're going on vacation during the summer. That's beneficial and healthy for everybody. Reduce that stress. Reducing rates of overuse injuries is key too, because, the more you push the one thing, that's the one thing that's gonna kind of go wrong.
It's disheartening to see in the summertime. We let our kids run around. We have a nice family friendly neighborhood. There's like a little gas, not a gas station, but a food mart where they get sandwiches and hamburgers. There's plenty of ponds to fish at. And you see these kids are just missing. They're missing all summer because their parents are pushing them into so many sports that every single day they're gone playing soccer and baseball, playing lacrosse. It's fine. If your kid wants to do that, it's fine. If you think that's good for your kid, that's your opinion. This is our opinion. Give them a break. Let them be kids. Let them determine what they want to do. If they wanna play baseball, they're gonna tell you they're gonna play baseball. If they wanna play flag football, they're gonna tell you they wanna play flag football. But let them be kids in the summer.
I think that's, we've tried to balance that. Our oldest has a very strong desire to be on the ice all the time. And I think that's where we have to balance. Yeah, we'll do summer hockey, but when we're not doing summer hockey, we're going to be doing other things. We're going to be going to the lake and swimming, or we're going to be fishing, or we're going to be doing something else, but also stay true to his desire and our youngest desire to be on the ice. I think that's the balance, and that's probably harder to do sometimes. But you definitely want to avoid that burnout, but stay balanced with things.
I remember when he was like 8 or 9 years old. I think it was 8 years old. It was like the season of hockey, and we're sitting in the driveway, and I'm putting a step away, and he just starts bawling, and I'm like, "What's the matter, man?" He goes, "No more hockey." I'm like, "Dude, we will totally play some pickup games, or we'll go find you a camp to go to. It's not over. It's just on a little not a short break, but it's just gonna be a little more sporadic until we start the season back in August or September or whenever it is."
And that's what I mean by, like, striking that balance. If your player has a huge desire to be on the ice, go with that, but at the same time, try to balance it out with some other things, especially during this, off season, as I'll call it, even though we know hockey really is year round if you want it to be.
So let's take us to our outro, Angela. I think that was a good episode, good coverage. Again, I apologize for being sick. Man, I feel like crap. Angela may lock the door because I'm in the detached garage right now and quarantine me out here, but hopefully I'll feel better. Angela, take us out.
Appreciate everyone listening. Please follow, subscribe, share, comment, leave us a rating. We want to keep doing this. We want to keep talking about this. Next week, I think we're going to talk tryouts, because that's another thing that we're starting to see a lot of messages about and information on when tryouts are going to be. And it also starts a whole nother storm of things for us to talk about.
Agree, and I wanna talk about our, small businesses. I always do this, and this is one of our friends we actually met this week, for the first time face to face. We had a Zoom call, Chirping Pucks Podcast. If you love hockey and they love talking smack about hockey, give these guys a listen. They are a great bunch of dudes. They know way more about hockey than these 2 moron pucked up parents, but they promoted us, and we were greatly appreciative of it, and we're gonna collaborate with them in the future. They have a tournament that they're setting up in Philadelphia. Go out to Chirping Pucks on Facebook for information on that. We have merchandise tagged to the top of our page on Facebook, and I've also been sending out of the kindness of my glorious heart, free stickers for your car. We have some pucked up parent stickers. If you see our emblem on this show, that's what it is. Slap it on your car. Just send us a DM, provided I have some left and some stamps left. I'll shoot one over to you. I've sent out about a half a dozen so far. Thank you so much for all your support. We couldn't do this without you. This has grown quite substantially, and we appreciate everyone out there. Please continue to spread the word. And as I say every week, keep your stick on the ice. We are all in this together. Thank you.
Out before dawn, can't feel my face. Coffee spilling all over the place. Forgot the sticks, we're turning around. Another weekend and some hockey